It's everything you wanted in a Boston-Montreal rivalry. Fights, hits, goals, and controversy. The Canadiens come away losers 3-2 to the Boston Bruins, and we've got a lot to talk about. Let's talk some puck. Hola, compadres. Welcome to this edition of the Post-Game here on PuckTalk Montreal for November 15th, 2025. I am Costa Popoulias, affectionately known to you as Coach K, and let's just get right into it. The Montreal Canadiens were expected to play a better hockey game. The Montreal Canadiens played a better hockey game, except for in one particular facet where they looked like garbage. Let's take a look at the highlights brought to you by InstaCustoms. InstaCustoms.com is Canada's highest rated print shop with over 3,000 Google reviews and a 4.9 star rating. They offer direct-to-garment printing on all your favorite clothing, along with coffee and travel mugs, and they even offer embroidery. Habs won a Stanley Cup? You can win too on Stanley Street at InstaCustoms.com. So the Bruins get on the board first, and it's Marat Kusnedinov. God, did I have to practice to get that name right, who opens the scoring for the Boston Bruins. And take a good look as he gets a pass from David Pastrnak, and Sam Montembeault, while being aggressive, a little too aggressive. Take a look as you'll see the pass come from the point over to Pastrnak. He fakes the shot, goes across, and then the shot goes in off the pad of Montembeault, who can't get square to that one-timer. He goes off his pad and in to make it 1-0 for the Bruins. And look, I'm not going to blame Montembeault for that goal. It was a great play by Pastrnak to spot Kuznetsov available on the opposite side. But defensively, I think the Canadiens could have done a lot better. It looked like they were all expecting that one-timer from Pastrnak, and so they were watching him as opposed to seeing what was going on around them. I talk about Montembeault not doing that. Hell, everybody on the Canadiens didn't do that. Just about 3.5 minutes later, though, as the Canadiens were killing a penalty, well, we got a shorthanded goal from none other than Jake Evans. And watch here as Evans gets the puck that squirts loose and just skates it up the ice. He's got Matheson with him for a 2-on-1, uses him as a decoy and rips it home over the shoulder of Swayman to make it 1-1 after one. Here it is again, off the shoulder and in on Swayman, and the Canadiens look like they're in good shape going into the second period. But this has been the period that has been the most difficult for the Montreal Canadiens this season. And so, what's the problem? Well, they gave up a couple of goals in this second period. It's 2 minutes in. It was Mason Lohrei scoring on a shot that this time around, Monty should have had. As you take a look at Lohrei's shot from the blue line, it was a bit of a flutterer, but nonetheless, Monty, well back in his net, nowhere near out enough to cover the angle, just isn't big enough to actually stop that shot. And he flails at it with his blocker to make it 2-1 for the Boston Bruins. Then on the power play, it was Victor Arvidsson on a sweet pass out front, but I want you to pay very close attention to Josh Anderson. Anderson is on the weak side where the puck is not. And he's just watching. And Arvidsson leaves the front of the net. Zacha takes his place, and Arvidsson goes to the bumper. That should have been Anderson's guy. Keep a good look on this. Watch. The puck, of course, goes to Pastrnak. Zacha between the legs, right to Arvidsson. And Josh Anderson just a little too late to the party here as he's watching the puck. Doesn't realize, oh crap, Arvidsson alone. And he makes it 3-1 for the Boston Bruins. That Arvidsson goal actually was the game winner. But just under 2 minutes after the Arvidsson goal, the Canadiens get a little bit of hope, and that is off the stick of Cole Caufield. A long pass from the Canadian zone to Suzuki. Suzuki into the slot for Caufield. He goes backhand on Swayman to make it 3-2. Here it is again, backhand, and it's in, and it's 3-2. And that's pretty much where the scoring ended. The Canadiens did play a very good third period. They pushed the envelope a little bit, getting 9 shots on goal and getting some good quality chances, but it wasn't enough. They come away losers 3-2 to the Boston Bruins. So, what went wrong? There's a few things that are obvious. To do that, though, and to analyze, let's talk cheapestt-shirts.ca. Cheapestt-shirts.ca has men's, women's, and children's t-shirts, all sizes, hoodies too, with over 1,000 products to choose from. Anything you need for merchandise or the best deals on everyday clothing, cheapestt-shirts.ca is your go-to source. Buy today, ship tomorrow, cheapestt-shirts.ca. Well, for the second game in a row, the Montreal Canadiens lost almost 60% of their faceoffs. That's not something the Canadiens did last week. It was 63% or somewhere about stat against the Dallas Stars. Tonight against the Boston Bruins, it was 58.4%. Not good, because when you don't have possession of the puck, you obviously don't control the game. If you don't control the game, you can't dictate the pace. Now, above and beyond that, 0 for 7 on the power play. What's wrong with the Canadiens' power play? They even had a minute 50 at 5-on-3 and couldn't score. Why? Well, what do we say about the power play? They move the puck around the perimeter, but they don't shoot the damn biscuit. And the worst part about all this is they don't have somebody in the bumper. At 5-on-3 especially, the way I look at a 5-on-3 as a coach is very simple to me, okay? You look for a shooting lane. You have 5 players on the ice, so you're going to get an on-man situation one way or the other. The defensemen and defending players that are out there are not going to be able to cover everybody. So what do? You get the shots on goal to generate rebounds or to score, obviously, if the goalie doesn't stop it. But you generate the rebounds and you drive the net at 5-on-3. It's not about finesse. It's not about going around the perimeter and trying to get the perfect shot on goal. No. It's about shooting dirty and getting rebounds. And the Canadiens just don't do it. They need to do the same thing at 5-on-4. But the worst part about 5-on-4 is with the box out there, you want to have somebody in the bumper in the middle, which is what Zach Bolduc was doing earlier in the season. But now nobody seems to want to go there. So what happens? The defending team is giving Lane Hutson the ability to shoot the puck. He never does. They're challenging him. They're collapsing before the puck even gets to him. And he steps in, doesn't have anything to shoot at, and decides, oh, well, I'm going to go to the flanks. The flanks are covered. So what happens? The flanks have to move the puck quickly, either back to Hutson again or to the goal line. Who's on the goal line? Cole Caufield. Now, why is your best goal scorer on the goal line as opposed to being on the flank? There's another question. Another thing that I like to ask is, why in the world Ivan Demidov is not shooting the puck? If I'm Marty St. Louis, I'm pulling Demidov aside and telling him, Ivan, on the power play, if you see net, shoot. Simple. If Hutson feeds him the puck, and he's got it, and he looks, and as he does, he skates in, he comes inside the dot, he has a good angle, he's looking, but he's looking for a passing lane. Doesn't see it, and he sees the net, and he sees a shot, take it. As I say at 5-on-3, if you take the shot and somebody's there to drive the net, good things are going to happen. But you're not going to score on shots you don't take. Yes, the Canadiens got 28 shots on goal tonight, a lot of them from the perimeter, a lot of them not very dangerous. But if you're going to create opportunities to score on the power play, you need to shoot and you need to drive the net. It's a simple recipe for success, guys. There's no two ways about it. You're not going to rewrite how the power play is done. You can change formations. You can go umbrella to 1-3-1 to overload, whatever you want. But you're not going to change the fundamental concept of the power play, which is creating a 2-on-1 that favors you and getting shots on goal for rebound opportunities. It's all obvious to me, but the Canadiens just refuse to do it. Is this a coaching thing? No, it's not. It's about what the players do when they're on the ice. The coach can't play the game. The coach can only take them in practice, and I've watched a few of his power play practices, and they go through the motions beautifully. That's what led them to having success early on. Why they got away from it? I don't know. Is it because Bolduc was taken off the first unit? Possibly, because you need that guy in the bumper. But here's the other thing. Juraj Slafkovsky, why are you not in the bumper? Why are you the one setting up for a one-timer on the right-hand side? Why are you, if you're not there, you're down by the goal line when your ass should be in front of the net? That I don't get. That's another thing. You grab him, you pull him aside, and you say, Juraj, if you're not going to be a shooter, that you're going to be the guy that pesters the goaltender and drives him nuts. You're big, you're tall, you're hard to move. And then you get success. The power play comes back to where it was before. To me, it's very, very simple. They've gotten away what worked early. And mind you, they're playing against teams that are better than what they played earlier in the season. That goes without saying. But even at that, every good team in the National Hockey League cannot kill every penalty. Some teams are better than others. But if you're going to gift them a penalty kill and not take shots on goal, then what's the point? And yes, I think the Montreal Canadiens had 3 minutes and 16 seconds tonight of 5-on-3 time, and they got 7 shots on goal. But all those shots on goal were from the outside at distance. What the hell? It's just not feasible to be able to keep this power play running without using that bumper, without using the point. If Lane Hutson isn't going to shoot the puck, take him off the first wave, put Dobson in, or even Mike Matheson. We know Matheson did the job earlier on in the year last year. Why not do it again now? If Lane Hutson is struggling, switch it. If Lane Hutson's going to decide, you know what, I'm going to shoot the puck more on the power play, then shoot the puck more on the power play. Get teams to come out to the blue line so you can allow your forwards more time and space to create a little bit further into the zone. But if the box is going to remain small and going to focus on covering the 4 forwards that are out there on the power play, then your defenseman is what, moot? No. He's got to become a threat. So Hutson starts shooting the damn puck. Now, there's one thing I didn't like that should have been kind of talked about a little bit that nobody discussed was the fighting. Not that I don't like the fighting. Don't get me wrong. I love a good scrap. But after Jaden Struble dropped the mitts with Zadorov, right? And 4 minutes later, you had Arbor Jacki dropping the mitts with Tanner Janot. Now, I know Janot had a bone to pick with Arbor Jacki, and Jacki answered the bell. But here's the problem. Not only do you have Jane Struble off the ice, but now you've also got Arbor Jacki. So you're down to 4 defensemen. Not really the smart thing to do, okay? Especially early in a hockey game. So there needs to be a discussion there. If one's going to do it, then it can't be the other. It's as simple as that. Because you cannot have your team shorthanded like that for extended periods of time. Sure, Struble came back. They got 5 defensemen instead of 6 until Arbor Jacki got back on the ice. But still, you cannot afford to have 2 defensemen off the ice at the same time. It mucks up the works. So pick your spots a little bit better. I like the fact that the game started with a scrap. It got the blood flowing. Struble did well. I didn't like the fact that Zadorov was hitting him in the back of the head after he took his helmet off. That's kind of a little bit of a cheap shot, but nonetheless, Struble held his own. But Struble's job shouldn't be to fight. Struble's job should be to play. And he hasn't played well of late on defense. So I'd like to see him focus more on getting better on the defensive side as opposed to chucking the knuckles. If you want Arbor to do that, go ahead. But the thing about Arbor is he's playing better than Struble is right now defensively. Do I want to lose him? Obviously not. But the fact that they're fighting, it's going to happen, right? And I think personally that it was a focus for the Bruins. They wanted to get those 2 guys a little bit off their game early on. And taking Arbor Jacki off the ice and taking Struble off the ice for an extended period of time, well, you know what? It works. So that's that as far as that's concerned. At 5-on-5, again, you watch the Montreal Canadiens, they do not play inside the dots. It's starting to become a little bit of a habit. And when they do, they have success. That's what irks me the most. There was a point where Juraj Slafkovsky, who had a horrible game tonight, came right up the middle, took a shot on goal, followed the puck to the net, did all the right things, but he did it just once. There's got to be a little bit more consistency there. If the Canadiens want to get their opposition on their heels, then they have to do a better job of taking care of the middle of the ice. Now, they did do better in the neutral zone tonight, but that's because the Bruins are not a speed first in transition type of team. They're a team that likes puck possession. They're a team that likes to be physical, and they're a team that has good skill up front. We saw that. Everything flows through David Pastrnak. You take a look up front with guys like Victor Arvidsson and, who else is there? There's a bunch of guys. You've got Pavle Zacha. There's talent up front for the Bruins, and they've always been a talented team up front. Last year was a bit of an anomaly for them. So they're getting back to form. The Canadiens regressing a little bit here. And this is the point in time where Marty St. Louis has to work. And he is. You could see that there already was an improvement from the Dallas game. Now, whether that's because the Bruins are not quite as talented as Dallas or whether it's because the Canadiens did a better job, that remains to be seen. We'll see as they play 2 or 3 games down the road. But overall, if you watch this game, you were entertained. It was fun. It was a little bit like an old school Bruins game. Sure, there weren't as many fights. Sure, there wasn't as much jawing as you would normally see. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of action. These teams don't like each other, and, it showed. And granted, we wanted to be on the right side of the ledger in this game, but ultimately, the Bruins getting the best of the Montreal Canadiens, it's going to happen from time to time. This is just the first of 4 meetings, I believe, between these teams. They're going to play again, I think, on December 23rd. That's the next time they play. So let's see how both teams do going into that hockey game. In the meantime, we've got Thanksgiving coming up and that, quasi-special date where teams are in or out of the playoffs. We'll see where the Canadiens are in a couple of weeks. If they continue playing the way they are, it may not fare as well as we'd like. You don't want to see them lose the advantage that they gained at the beginning of this year, right? The way they played in October by shitting the bed in November. No, you want to see them continue to play well. You want to see them continue to push. Of course, injuries, they tend to damper that a little bit, but it is what it is. And how about Jared Davidson? 4 shots on goal, 3 of them extremely dangerous. Didn't get a lot of time on ice. Let me just check here. Oops, not the game summary, you dumbass. It's the event summary I want to see. Where were we? Davidson, where are you? He had only 7-14 on the ice tonight. But again, the Canadiens on the power play for 7 occasions. They had to kill off 5 penalties. So overall, you look at all of it. And, that's the better part of 20, 14 and 5, 22 minutes, given the fact that the Canadiens had a 5-on-3. So over a full period that he could not get into the play. But when he did, he created. And that's what you want to see from Davidson. Now, of course, playing on the 4th line, it is what it is. But ultimately, you want to see him continue to progress. And I like what I saw so far. So next up for the Montreal Canadiens is a date with the Columbus Blue Jackets. But before we get to the Blue Jackets, we have a Sunday night show to take care of. That Sunday night show, of course, is going to have a preview of the Columbus game, given the fact that they play on Monday, and that's going to be on Amazon Prime. But it's also Ask Coach K Day, where you can ask your questions. Be specific. Throw them out there. You want to know what I think of the power play? And I get a lot of those questions in the comments. So yesterday's show was a little bit long in the tooth answering some of those questions. Keep them coming. I want to thank instacustoms.com and cheapesttshirts.ca for sponsoring the show. And as always, take a look in the corner. Be sure to give a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the notification bell for all the latest and greatest here from PuckTalk Montreal. And if there is a topic that you want me to broach specifically about anything when it comes to the game of hockey, let me know. Hey, tonight, my junior team played and won by a score of 3-2. Very good first period. Last 2 periods, not so great. Of course, I'm not coaching that team. I'm running it. But at the end of the day, I still give my feedback. And a lot like the Montreal Canadiens, they bookended this game a little bit. Where they played well in the first and third, and the second period is where they screwed up. Why? Like the Canadiens, ill-advised changes, bad timing, bad penalties, the whole 9 yards. Fortunately for me, my Knights came out with a 3-2 win, Unfortunately for Montreal, they ended up with a 3-2 loss. But similar circumstances, similar games. Let's see what's going to happen with Montreal come the Columbus game. Columbus, a dangerous team. We'll preview it tomorrow. And please, send your questions in. Put them in the comments. Or, if you'd like, you can even send me emails at coachk@pucktalkmtl.com. See you tomorrow.